it could be lesson planning. What's your biggest worry? And we'll do the same thing. You can choose that text option, find a place on the screen, and then share your worry. Kids not engaged. Better engagement with the children.
I don't have a text option that I can find.
Do you see the mouse option? It should be right next to there.
I don't have a mouse.
She might be on an iPad.
So if for those who, thank you so much for telling us. If you don't have an option, will you type it in the group chat? Can you, is that a possible way? Thank you so much for letting us know. So not meeting the needs of the students is another one. Losing their attention, not getting through to the kids. Children are tired of Zooming all day and holding their attention virtually. Social distancing makes them mentally distanced. Interesting, yes. That students will not retain or value what we have tried to offer or share with them. We won't stretch ourselves to learn new skills and provide creative programming. Unable to reach the masses, only a few children will be in attendance, making a larger impact. How will we make a larger impact, I think is what it says. Student participation, said someone in the chat. How to best engage with the student in impacting the community sufficiently. And we'll wait about 30 more seconds. Not reaching those who need it most. Safety. Links will feel unsatisfied. Cultural barriers. Thank you so much for participating. Okay, if you've finished, would you use the React and give us a thumbs up? This is a good way to practice and make sure that your students know how to use the hand signals.
Okay, so I'm gonna clear this board and then.
So we're gonna do one more, and this one's gonna be voting. Oh, I don't see a mouse enabling me to type. I'm on a laptop. So if you go up to the top, if you're on a laptop, there's view options. So you kind of move your mouse over to the top of the screen, and there should be a little thing that says view options. So we're going to vote now, and we're going to use our stamp on the annotate. Please let me know if you can find, oh, she got it, great. So this time we're gonna use the stamp. There's a few different ones. You see the heart, the check, the star. You choose what you want. And where would you prefer to send a postcard from? This secluded beach or this magical forest? And someone in the chat has said beach, so I'm gonna put a heart for them. For Jillian. I got another beach, so I'm gonna put that one, heart for that one. For Yolanda. Oh, we got a forest. Oops. Another beach. Oh, I like that heart. So this is a fun way to practice your Zoom controls with your kids. Just finding something that they can vote on and getting to use the stamp or the drawing. I got another beach. Oh, we got, so it was beach. Beach wins on this one. We got a lot of people who would rather be at the beach and send a postcard from there. Thank you so much for playing with us. So icebreakers, yes, they're needed, they're important, and they, in this case, you can use them to practice Zoom controls and Zoom options.
All right. So now let's see. Let's talk about our journey.
So Mandy, do you want to clear all the drawings on there? So in spring of this year, we moved from the classroom to the keyboard. We were working in Title I schools in SAISD with middle school students who hadn't necessarily chosen to be in our classes, but were put in there. And didn't necessarily have an idea of why theater could be relevant to their lives. So before we even entered into the virtual learning space, we were already dealing with this really big challenge of student engagement. And now on top of that, we now had this steep learning curve of adapting to technology and trying to learn these new platforms and work with whatever devices we have. Like, as you saw in this very simple case where some people didn't have the option to do the text, we had to now have all of these challenges at once. So the school that I worked at last year was Rogers Academy. I'll be there again this year. Their accountability rating is a D right now. It's over 90% economically disadvantaged and 80% at risk of dropping out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked at Douglas Academy, which had an F rating and about 97% economically disadvantaged and 78% of at-risk youth. So engagement was an ongoing concern. So when we got started moving into this digital workshop world, the things that we had immediately available were just our devices, our phones, computers, tablets. I started out this journey teaching on a broken cell phone screen, sitting in the parking lot in my car with a blanket as a backdrop to look like a classroom. It was interesting, to say the least.
Zoom was one of the platform that we used for face-to-face. And we had Google Classroom. That was where we were put into to put our lessons and have students submit work and respond. And that included mainly Google Documents at that time. It was still at a basic level. We also ended up using apps for assignments. For instance, we did some video work, and then we also did some photo collage and photo work. And so we used video and photo editing software that we had on our phones, basically.
We also used whatever we had in our houses. So we had students gather supplies from around their space, and we used these to create art, to story tell by helping students piece together old pieces of clothing to make costumes, things like that. We also use space. So we encourage students in some of our lessons to explore inside and outside of their home. And in your case, I really think it would be helpful to find space, indoor, outdoors, that students can explore at a nice, safe distance, perhaps bring back items to the classroom to write about, or take photos of things that they can bring back to the classroom and write about, and also using other people. So we encourage students to grab a partner that was in their home that they could interview, or partner for exercises. And another helpful thing is incorporating tools that students already use. So students are at the forefront of technology. So we're continuously asking our students, what apps are you using now? And how would they be helpful in the classroom? Because students have a lot of good answers.
That's right. Students are a great resource. And the other resource is other teachers. That's also a great resource. So we were constantly sharing with each other what we discovered, strategies we've learned, where we failed, where we needed to change things up. So make sure that you're communicating with each other. Social media groups are a great place for teachers to gather and to share their wealth of information, and they're doing that right now. In fact, there's a link for a Facebook group in the addendum for global educators who are working online. So it's all over the world, and they give so many things away for free and just will answer questions. And then teaching websites. There's a lot of free resources out there right now on teaching websites, even if it's only partially free and then some of it you have to pay for. But you can find a lot of resources online. So there are so many tools being used right now, and different people have different opinions about what's great. Amina sent a few that she recommended, and so we've listed them here, and at the addendum there's links for tutorials for you to take a look at them. I'll kind of mention them really briefly here. Screencastify is one that people use to create video lessons just using your device. So you can immediately capture your screen activity. You can insert a video of yourself, or you can record directly from your laptop or desktop. Flipgrid is interesting because it's an interactive website where students can put up response videos to your videos inside of topics. So it creates this kind of video discussion that's happening. Edpuzzle also creates interactive video lessons. It's a place to do that. They have assessment-centered tools that teachers can use to embed like open-ended or multiple choice questions, audio notes, audio tracks, or comments. Nearpod is a place where you can create presentations that have quizzes or polls, videos, images, drawing boards, web content. And Padlet is an interesting one because it's an online virtual bulletin board. So everybody can start posting like little post-its, comments, links, resources. I found that we were using this a lot this summer where teachers would post their resources about a certain topic. And it's hidden from everyone, so only you and the people who have the link can see it. And the last one is Slides Mania. It's great because there's a lot of educational templates for PowerPoint and Google Slides, which can be really helpful as you're preparing your presentation for your workshop that you'll be delivering.
All right. But the foundation of what we used was Google Classroom. And Google Classroom is a really easily accessible tool, and it can be used on any device. And this is a virtual classroom where, I mean, you could break things down by subject, but where I think this would be helpful is that you can have student discussions where students can respond publicly or privately. Students can post their lessons there, so they can turn in their work. And because you're working with multiple volunteers, volunteers coming in can see what work has been done in the past, so it ensures continuity. All right, and there's also links to Google Classroom tutorials at the end of the presentation. All right, responding to student challenges. So we've identified 4 main challenges that our students have that we'll expand on here.
One of the main challenges is, of course, making sure that we're addressing social emotional needs of our students. And I want to use this moment to take a breath. Can we all take a breath? Just look away from the screen for a second and just like take a breath, move your neck. If there's anything that's feeling tense, if you need to kind of stretch a little, if you could just we've just given you a lot of information. I know we're speaking at you a lot. If we had more time, we would have more movement or exercises in, but we're really trying to share as much as we can in a short time. Now, I'm gonna ask if in the chat, we do a quick check-in. So in the chat, one word, and we'll take 1 minute for this. So this is gonna be a fast one. One word about what you've seen or learned or so far, just one word. Encouraged, interactive, creative apps to use, interesting, engage, impressive, creative, informative, Marnice, applications, open, Google Classroom. Impressive, if you haven't had a chance, helpful. I will let those keep coming as I move on, but this is a quick check-in. Check-ins can come in different forms. It can be something at the beginning of class where you say how great your day has been. It could be a journal entry where you have a chance to go a little deeper about a subject or a topic. Discussions where the students get to be heard and they get to hear and respond to each other, as well as hear what you have to say. Also exploring emotions through exercises. Identifying and articulating our emotions is a skill, and it's a skill that you know, we're making sure that the students have, and so it's a very wonderful way to support their social emotional needs. Centering exercises, stopping, having a meditation in the beginning, or checking in with the body, feeling your body in space. In fact, I've included a list of centering exercises in the slides. And then acknowledging Zoom fatigue and overwhelm. We have to acknowledge that this is so many hours that our kids are having to stay on screen. And if they need to look away, if they need to move and get a break, incorporating those into the lesson is making sure that we're taking care of the whole body in this process. And just know that some days it's not personal. We're just tired, the students are tired, and it's not personal to you. So we give them grace, yeah? Here's a short list of centering exercises. Now, I know I said these are for the students, but I would recommend that you do them yourself also. I do many of these right before I go into a classroom. I need to make sure that my nervous system is relaxed and that I'm centered and that I'm feeling good before I go in there. So that way they can feel that and they will mirror it.
Yep. My favorite thing to do before class starts is to take a deep breath because it just gets me in the zone and ready to go. All right. Games to get bodies and emotions moving. I am a very emotionally driven teacher. So I do a lot of storytelling and movement in the classroom. One of my favorite games to play, I know I have so many favorites, but is Vertellus. And I have this little card deck here. You don't have to have a card deck, but the idea behind Vertellus is tell me more. Vertellus in Dutch means tell me more. So an example of these cards is, a question is, who would you like to thank? So in this case, you would have one student stand up, you ask them the question, and when the student gives the answer, the other students say Vertellus, which means you have to keep talking in more detail. It's to keep you thinking on your feet. And you can't sit down until people stop asking for you to tell them more. So I've included a link and some instructions for this game, so you can play it with the cards, or you can make up your own questions and do this exercise with your students on the spot. Emotion games are another good thing. So acting out emotions with body movements so that kids have an opportunity to kind of release some of the stress and emotions they're feeling. And also it not only helps them articulate, but there's a feedback loop. So I'm gonna give you an example. Today I'm feeling stressed out, right? So if I had a body movement to go with that, I would go, so on the count of 3, I would like for you to repeat my body movement. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Joy, what are you feeling today?
Well, at this moment, I'm feeling excited.
Excited? Okay, and so how would you express that in a body movement? Okay, so y'all got that? Ah. On the count of 3, we're gonna do the same thing Joy did, right? Yell, scream, do it in silence. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ah. All right, it looks like that's how we're all feeling today.
I want to say that there is something that magical that happens when everyone mirrors what you just gave. It really does create some kind of positive feedback loop.
It really does, because even though we're all stressed out, we're all smiling now, right? Body movement breaks are another really good tool to use in the classroom because of all this screen time. So sometimes body movements are organized, and sometimes you just tell your students, get up and wiggle it out. A 30-second wiggle can help kids refocus. And go ahead.
I just want to say that you modeling it will help them feel more comfortable in doing it.
So if they're in the middle of a project and you say, get up and do a stretch, that's what we do, right? Helps keep the energy level up. Word contribution exercises are another tool that I love to use in the classroom. The idea behind this is to gather words from the environment and use them to create a word bank and help your students write, okay? So students can sit down and they can write a word contribution list. Or sometimes when my students are walking in, I just start writing bits and pieces of their personal conversations on the board. So I get a kid turning around going, Miss, I can't believe you just wrote that on the board. I have to pee. You know, things like that. And we use that for a word bank, and I would have my students use 3 to 5 words or phrases out of that word bank to write in their journal. I do have a link to a word contribution video that gives more detail on how you can do this in the classroom.
And then I guess I would say to modifying that towards a Zoom, you could have them in the chat, just like we said with the one word for a check-in. You could also do that with phrases. Give us random phrases, random words. They might be like spaghetti, beaver, I love noodles, whatever it is. And then you have a word bank that they can now write from. It's really fun.
Yeah, and the coolest part is just that the more random the phrases are, the more creative the writing is. All right.
So another main challenge is, of course, managing outside distractions and keeping on task. One of the first ways to address this is by establishing norms. I think that it would be good to do it as a group. And then whatever those norms are, repeating them and reviewing them at the beginning of each workshop. So that way everyone gets a chance to remember what we do when we're in this setting. Another important one is pacing your instruction, and that's going to be determined by your group of students. Am I speaking too fast? Am I speaking too slow? Do you need a break to process this? Are there questions that need to be asked right now? And one of the ways to help with pacing is breaking it up and re-engaging your students through the activities and discussion. The more that a student is actively engaged, the more that they'll be there with their whole brain. Here's an example of Zoom norms and expectations that you can use. Be on time. Mute yourself when you're not speaking. Presentation is about dress. This one was used last year for our school. I would probably change it a little bit if I was using it for girls and boys club, because they'll already be dressed when they get there. But you know, thinking about those things. Headphones, I think they're gonna have headphones, so that's gonna help with staying focused and the outside noise. Chat responsibly. So we're chatting on topic. We're using the chat to ask questions or to give our ideas. We're not privately chatting, and you can control that and make sure there is no private chat. You just know that you can control some of these Zoom things. And then hand signals. Does everyone understand? And then they can either do a physical thumbs up or they can use the reaction button. And so practicing those, and so that everyone has them. Also using the raise hand feature is a great one. And making sure everyone knows how to do that.
So one of my routines in my classroom was doing the Pledge of Respect as the first thing that we did, right? This was part of our routine. There's a physical movement that comes with this, but basically this pledge is just that you will respect yourself and the people around you and respect your creativity. So I had my 11-year-old daughter, who's going into 6th grade, demonstrate the body movements, and she wasn't really excited about it, but here she is, and hopefully you will be able to hear this okay, but if you can't, this is just a body demonstration.
I respect my body and the bodies of others.
I respect my mind and the mind of others. I respect my art and the art of others. All right, I respect my, oh, let's go. All right, and so the next challenge that we had was lack of engagement, right? So the first thing that we do is always remember to make it fun. And when us as instructors, when we are having fun, we're a good model for the kids. Make it relevant. So that means staying on top of what is important to the students you're working with now, and also hot topics. Don't steer away from them, address them directly. And know that it is okay to take the time to show that you care.
As far as relevance goes, this is a project example that we did in the spring. Quarantine was hot on our mind, right? So we started with check-ins, discussions, journals. How are you feeling? How is it going? What is it like? You know, what do you need? Do you have the things that you need? And so through those check-ins and those discussions, we got to the point where we were ready to brainstorm on a writing prompt. So we brainstormed on what does quarantine look like, smell like, taste like, feel like, sound like, and we did it together as a group. This really got them going, and then they went away and they wrote their own list poem on quarantine, which is a really easy thing to do. They wrote their list poem, they came back, we shared them, and then they went away again. This was a longer process than a day. They went and they video recorded the items that related to their poem while they voiced it over. So quarantine looks like, quarantine smells like. And then they brought those videos back to me. I edited it into one video poem with all the students. And it was very impactful. We shared it with teachers. We shared it at, you know, in the classroom. The students were able to see that, you know, their experience was common, but it was also very, very unique to their own situation. I can't show you that video because I don't have permission to show the kids' faces, but I can show you the model that I gave them so that they could make their own. So Mandy's going to do that now.
And also, hopefully you can hear this. If not, it will be part of the presentation. And there's a link in the resources that will give you the workshop. All right.
Quarantine looks like in the morning.
Let me start this again.
Quarantine looks like brilliant skies in the morning. Smells like a Vietnam candle in her room and Lysol wipes. Quarantine tastes like lots of eggs and pickles because they make any meal exciting. Quarantine sounds like my cat's asking for extra food because I'm home. And birds all through my yard all day long.
So the final student challenge that we address here is student comprehension. The thing that I've discovered, and the way I always describe it, is it's like we're giving the students a bag of cheese puffs, right? You gotta do it one cheese puff at a time, just enough. We gotta digest that before we go on. There is a term called scaffolding, and this strategy has been used by teachers for over a decade. And basically what it means is you build upon what the students already know and understand. So we have to make sure that that current level, that concept is understood before we go forward and we try to build on it. I've included an article here that gives 10 ways to scaffold learning. It includes giving mini lessons, incorporating visual aids, modeling and demonstrating, describing the concept in multiple ways because we have different learning styles in the room, right? Giving students time to talk, time to practice, checking for understanding during the lessons, there's activating prior knowledge, and then taking the vocabulary that you're going to be using and putting it at the beginning of the lesson, right? Front loading concept specific vocabulary, so that way they get to know what that is first before we start going into delving into the topic.
Structuring a workshop. This is about making sure that we're setting ground rules so that we can build ideas on the foundation. All right, so this is a recommended presentation structure. This is just an example. You can modify it as you like. So we start each class with the Pledge of Respect and going over those Zoom norms or whatever rules that you have in your classroom. And that's because our students are hit with so many new rules and challenges this year that they need a daily reminder of what is normal behavior for your class or for your workshop setting. After we establish the norms, we do a game, a check-in, or some other body movement just to get students, reoriented and focused. So you'll introduce a learning or lesson concept, exploring model, which means just having an example, a project example to work from, practicing the concept, and then taking another body break. So it doesn't have to be a big one. You can just tell the kids, get up and shake it out, and come back together, share and discuss, and then check out. Checkout time is a really, really important time because it helps you understand how much the students have actually learned, what they enjoyed about class, and what you can do differently next time.
We kind of did a checkout a little while ago when I said, can you write one word about what you've seen so far? So in a way, that was a checkout for that section. You can even do it that quickly. Everybody, before we go, give me one word or one phrase or one thing you learned, or even one shout out for one student that you think did amazing today. Just articulating that kind of brings it back into the body and helps them to carry that knowledge away with them.
All right. So lessons learned. These are the things that we are not doing again. Forgetting to have fun. Because as I said, we have to be the examples for the fun. And this is an after school program, and these kids have been learning all day. So we got to shake them up a bit.
Taking myself too seriously, and I do that all the time anyway. So that's something that I've come to understand is not needed. We're going to mess up also. The Zoom things won't work. Things are going to happen. This is a journey. It's not an end all be all. Every workshop is just one brick. So let's enjoy it. Let's have grace for ourselves as well as for the students.
Yep. Biting off more than we can chew, right? Sometimes we come up with these extensive lesson plans. We need to break them down into things that are easily digestible bits of information for our students. And yeah, just making sure that, as Joy talked about the scaffolding, we're building on a simple structure. Tell them about the cheese puff, Joy.
Cheese puff. It's always that one cheese puff at a time.
Yes. You eat a whole bag of cheese puffs, one puff at a time. All right. And these are the lessons learned that we are definitely doing next time.
Taking the time to get to know the students and for them to get to know you is worth it, because that connection is going to take you really far. So do it. That's one thing I will always do. Setting up those expectations in the front and revisiting them, I will always do. We need that structure. Students need structure. We need structure. So, and then offering choices for different learning styles, remembering that there are different learning styles out there. And so we need to make sure that we're able to address that. And it's okay if you can't do it all in one lesson. Other people, hopefully you guys are working together, will make sure to address those. But, do your best to be cognizant of it.
So when we're offering choices for different learning styles, one of my favorite things to do is give give students an option of whether they want to turn something in on a piece of paper, handwritten, or whether they want to type it up and send it through Google Classroom. You know,
Whether they want to draw it, they want to speak it, they want to act it. There are lots of ways to give information and feedback.
and also finding ways that we can engage all of our senses into a lesson. So one of the things I think about when I'm teaching is these students have all of this visual stimulation right now. How do we engage other senses in our learning? So since students can't touch each other or a lot of surfaces they used to touch before, are there things that can they pick up a rock from outside and touch it and get some tactile response and, you know, write about a rock? Things like that. And as I said, again, exploration of space or their environment is so important to keep their bodies and their minds moving and give them screen breaks. All right. And I want you to remember that you are all exploring brand new frontiers. This is uncharted territory and has never been done before. So don't be hard on yourselves and take each experience as a lesson learned.
You got this.
All right. And so we have a whole list of additional resources for you. But now it's question time.
Mandy, are you able to take it off the screen so we can see more people?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just stop sharing my screen so we can see each other.
Link sisters, please feel free to ask whatever is on your mind at this point. This is the time when we have the professionals here, at least the experts, to give us guidance. So you can send it in the chat and we'll read it, or you can unmute yourself and go ahead and pose a question verbally.
Thank you for the very
Is it?
Oh, sorry.
Is it?
Go right ahead.
So I see Lara, and so we do Lara and then Renee. Is that what your name?
Okay. I'm Laura, and
Hi,
I
Laura.
was wondering, is it possible that at least we could get some of this in black and white for ourselves? You have given us such fantastic information, and you know, it's really hard to digest it all in one setting. But if there is any periodicals or any kind of thing that you
Yes.
could share with us, that
Yes,
we could
so-
have it and refer to it as we go into this year?
Absolutely. So we're going to give you the slideshow that you saw, the slide presentation
Okay.
with links. There's links in there. And then we also made a tip sheet. I mean, I could talk about this stuff forever. So we just like tried to put as much as we could. So there's the tip sheet. I think it also has a few links at the end for places to start. And it's 2 pages of tips.
Yeah, and it also gives you a list of possible projects.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
This has been fantastic.
Yay, that
Really
means so much.
great.
That means so much to us. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yes, indeed.
And in fact, just so you all know, I've already sent over the tip sheet, the online resources, as well as a few other pieces of information to your facet chairs. So they will have those in the breakouts for you and can forward them, email them over. And I do have the slides as well.
Oh,
So I would
wonderful.
send those probably after the presentation so they can be shared with everyone.
Great.
Link, Renee?
Hi, thank you. This was excellent. So ditto to what Laura said.
Thank
My question, I noticed one of you had the captioning of what you were saying at the bottom. And is that a tip that you would suggest using with the children when we are talking with them? I thought that was very, very good.
Yes, that's an excellent idea, actually. I've never used the closed captioning myself, Mandy.
So closed captioning has been a default for me. So it's not something I intentionally thought through, but it did work in my favor because I had some students who I didn't feel were engaged on the screen. But when there was a typo at the bottom, that's when I got the feedback that they were engaged, right? Because they're like, Miss, you didn't say that right, or there wasn't the right punctuation on the, you know, it all works towards literacy, right?
Mandy, how does that work? Is it a software that is translating as you're reading it, or do you have to type in your script beforehand?
It's actually part of the Zoom options. Do you know how to get to them, Mandy?
No, actually, because the closed captioning was on the PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, PowerPoint.
It wasn't on the Zoom.
There also is one for the Zoom, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to find it, but I have been taught about it. So it is somewhere there. There is a closed captioning option for Zoom.
While we're taking the next question, I'm going to see if I can explore it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your question, Renee.
And that might just be someone who is a host. Like, for instance, I might not, I think you have to activate it, and then each student actually has a chance to decide whether they want it or not. So that can be something that you also review at the beginning.
Joy, it looks like we have a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. So, okay, Marnice, not necessarily a content question, more of a procedural question for Mandy. Is there a particular software you're using to provide the captions while you're speaking?
Yeah.
Although we will have support, do you have strategies to address behavior issues in a virtual setting? So maybe we should think about, does someone want to give an example? Let's, reviewing those things and redirecting is always a first option. If someone interrupts while you're talking or while someone else is talking, just, gently reminding what we've already agreed at the beginning. If you have someone who is doing something that is like really hard to control at the moment, maybe, I don't know, chat room, things that are happening, you can always disable chat, for instance. If it was absolutely necessary, and I think that this is something that I saw too, and whoever else is working would have to discuss, but you can set up your Zoom options, and there is actually a page in the slideshow that talks about setting up your Zoom beforehand so you have control. You want to know the controls of Zoom so you can stop chat if you need to. You can make sure no one can share the screen unless you allow. That's a really important one. You want to make sure that no one can share screen unless you allow it, because we want to keep everyone safe about what's being shared. Also, you can remove someone from the Zoom room if you have to. There's ways to do that, but you want to make sure that you have them set up and that you know how to do it, so that way in the moment it's easy to do. And some of those things I'm still learning myself, by the way, because in the beginning I was just trying to learn how to log on, and but I did include a sheet that talks about some of those things.
And so I'll piggyback off that by saying that this is the importance of establishing Zoom norms, is that if you have the ground rules, then you can implement the consequences, right? So for instance, I think one of my biggest challenges was students talking over each other. So the host has the option to mute all so they don't hear the background noise. But the one of the big ones was students writing inappropriate things in the chat. And the way I found to help control that was to remind them that sessions can, and in many cases will, be recorded. And students had a tendency to behave and hold their language a little bit better when they knew that the session was being recorded.
Very true.
So.
And Link friend, the other thing we should keep in mind is that there will be a monitor in the room with each of the children. These workshops are going to be smaller, about 12 children in each room to maintain social distancing. They will each be at their own individual table with their own laptops and their own headphones. But a monitor will be there and connected to the Zoom session. And I've talked to Mark Crump, and he has said it's going to be possible for that monitor to actually be watching the chat. So if one of the links notices someone not on task, that person will be able to directly send a message to that staffer to have them go over and talk to that child. The other thing is, now that we know that each child will have their own laptop, we will be able to have links specifically check in with each child or be in a break room with the child. And that way you can be interacting with them one-on-one, if you will, virtually, which will help, I believe, to keep them on task and engaged.
So I want to just mention the philosophy that I've taken as a teacher through the organizations I've worked with, especially Magic Theater. You know, students aren't always going to engage every time. There are different reasons for that. And if we can structure lessons so that way when they come out, they can go back in. I see a question in the chat about when someone misses a lesson, how do you get them plugged back in and still contribute if they have to do the past stuff? One of the ways that I did that was through project-based assignments. So everybody had different roles, or everybody was contributing. If one person didn't contribute, it still worked. Like with the video poem, not every student gave me a video, but the ones that did, we created something beautiful out of it. So, but maybe the person was part of the process. They heard the process. They gave feedback on the process, you know. And then the other thing is, the funner it is, the more interesting it is for them. You got to really have that fun in there. It's gonna help them want to engage. Yeah, they might have it off, but then they might want to have their camera off, and then they see everyone's playing a game, and then they jump right back in. You know, you kind of give them that space to do that. I want to just, like, right now we've been talking a lot, so I was just gonna say, if everyone could give me a body movement or something, do something, and show me how you're feeling right at this moment. So we're gonna see each other, and we're gonna, ooh, I got so good. That's so cool. How am I feeling? Again, it's just a chance to, like, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm contributing to this space. It's really important that we keep doing that and allow them to have that. Oh, preparation time. I see a question for preparation time. I'm going to recommend that you stay simple. This is a lot for everyone to have to learn. You're learning Zoom. You're learning if you're going to get a Google Classroom or all these other things that you guys are looking at. It's a lot for you guys to prep for just there before you're even thinking about the lesson. So I'm sure that you guys are going to be working on those lessons together. Once you have that structure and you know how you're doing it, just remember, we're going with the cheese puff way. So you want to make sure that you're getting in the games, you're getting in the concept, you're practicing it, you're discussing it, you're coming together, you're giving the feedback. You know, I see what you wrote, I heard what you wrote, I noticed that you did this, or I wonder why you did that. So now we're taking. Don't think that just because it's a small task that it's not vital. Yeah. So as far as preparation goes, every person is different. I am always telling myself to simplify, 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 because I like complicated things. So I would recommend that. Remember the cheese puff. Y'all are working together to do this.
Okay, so let me read another question. Kayla wrote, in your engagement and interaction with middle school students from disadvantaged backgrounds, do you find they have challenges with using or understanding technology or apps you're using? And how much technical help do you have to provide during sessions? I will say, from my experience, my students have provided me more technical help than I have ever provided them, because even students from disadvantaged backgrounds have a really good grasp on technology. It's just the way our world moves now. Joy, do you have anything to add to that?
There will be some who do need your help. And you take the time to do it, and then you can ask. Hopefully you guys are able to communicate with the monitors, and the monitors can help you with the technological side, so you won't have to be dealing with that too much. But if it comes up, you know, do your best to try to acknowledge it, and then see how you can help the student, even if it's like, okay, let me finish with this part, and then we'll look at it together in a breakout room, or however you need to do that too.
And one more note, don't be afraid to say, I don't know. So if you and your student do not know the answer, the best thing to do is research together, okay? Because you're giving them those skills.
There is a question regarding the annotate feature from Renee. If you use the annotate feature text or drawing option, how do you control it when you're finished with that activity so that they will no longer interrupt your presentation?
Yeah, good question. So I just discovered the annotation this week in another professional development, but I think the host has control, but I don't know exactly how to do that.
So what happened in this case was I was allowed to clear it, but there was people who gave answers after I cleared it. So
Yeah.
it may be as simple as just reminding students not to submit any more answers. Make sure everybody's done submitting before we clear and move on.
But I do think there's a way to control it, because I know that it's really hard. Once you try that heart one time, you want to try that heart quite a few times. So yeah, I was not necessarily the best student in that professional development.
Okay, we got about 1 more minute.
And I'll mention, I believe in the view options over on the 3 dots for more, I think there is where you'll see stop annotate function for everyone. So I think that's where it is.
I'm looking at the question for break time. So if your breaks are interactive and they're part of the group, it's okay to have a longer one. If you're doing breaks just so they can move for a minute, keep it short. 1 minute, 2 minutes, like just to, okay, bathroom break or whatever, get up and wiggle or turn off your camera for 2 minutes even.
Yeah.
Also, I will say that that is a way, if you want them to go away for 5 minutes and write something, and they can turn their camera off for that time and then come back. If that's okay as an organization, that could be something that you do. But you don't want to have, it's only an hour, so you don't want to have 10-minute breaks just to have them walk away. Only if you're using those to actually do an activity, but it's something different. We're up, we're moving, we're talking, we're whatever we're doing. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, sometimes taking breaks that are too long can work against you. Okay.
Someone asked, can you share some lessons learned? I'm gonna say my biggest lesson just real quick, and it's this, and I'll try not to cry. I'm gonna cry. So it's challenging, it's challenging. You're in a room of kids when I was in person with a room of kids who didn't know why they wanted to be there and didn't ask to be there, and here they are, and they got to learn theater. And then COVID came, and suddenly we weren't there anymore. And I realized how wonderful it was to be able to see them. And I realized that every time I'm with them, it's a wonderful privilege. And so I might as well enjoy seeing their faces, no matter what they do or what they say or whether they're struggling with their own stuff. The fact that I get to see their faces and interact with them is a gift and a treasure. So this is something that has come into me so deeply, and I'm taking this into my new year. So I want to share that.
Before you react to any of your students' emotions, just remember that we're all feeling this together. Thanks for making me cry, Joy.
Wonderful, ladies. I
Yes.
am going to stop us here, only so that we can actually transition over to where you guys can start to think about how you can use all of the different tips, incorporating the movement. I love the video poem. The presentation structure, I think, is really great for having us think about how to build our presentations and keeping it engaging across all of the senses. Please, we didn't go through the addendum slides. When you get a chance, when I send those over later today, please do look at them. The tip sheets, though, that you'll be talking about, I think will help in terms of choosing activities and then thinking about how to structure them. And so with that, I would like to say, let's thank Mandy and Joyous for being with us and for sharing with us what they've learned so far through the process.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you.
Thank you very much. Ladies, you all have a blessed day and stay safe. We're going to now transition back to our full meeting.
Don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to have fun.
Yes, you got this.
They were fantastic, I tell you.
Thank you.
So informative.
Hi. Let's see. I thought you were.
Well, hopefully you all are inspired. I know there's a lot that was provided there, but I think it's all things that are very useful. And that's why the bulk of our workshop, at least front end, I wanted to be someone coming in and sharing what they know. So I'm going to go back to the slides where we were and just proceed from there. Let's see if I can share my screen again. Take us back to where we were. I think it And with that, you should all be seeing sort of the transition slide up for the guest presentation. Hopefully you are. And then I just want to just summarize for those links who may be new to the process and may not remember how we got to be where we are with the program that we have. Our objectives on the screen for whatever we're creating today and going forward is to be transformational, to expand the chapter's visibility, to actually provide a variety of different opportunities for service hours and improve our documentation and measurements, to continue to partner with the Boys and Girls Club, which we definitely are, and to be a resource in our community to other organizations, because we have expertise in a lot of ways. This particular umbrella program, which is one of the things you'll talk about, you will be talking about your own facet-specific programs, and then also what you'll do for the umbrella program. The umbrella program, as a reminder, is focused on literacy, because we know 25% of the folks in our community aren't reading and aren't able to express themselves at level, if you will, and that a large majority of San Antonio residents have said that would be a key area to focus on in terms of improvement. And in our case, our mission is to focus on literacy and also to promote African-American authors and literature while expanding our brand in the community and our footprint. These are, as a reminder, the goals that we just approved a couple of weeks back specifically. Again, 2 activities there that are on the screen, working again at the Boys and Girls Club in a couple of ways, and then being out in the community with the San Antonio African American Book Festival. All of this you guys had in previous information. What I did want to focus on is the logistics update then, related to both activities in that area. Just got news from the Eastside Boys and Girls Club that they actually have laptops. All of the children have laptops and headphones. The laptops were provided by their schools, and they're bringing them with them because most of them will be there from 7 in the morning until about 6 or 7 at night. And they will be in sessions where they'll be doing their classwork on those laptops. So we, again, can then work one-on-one with them. Our presentations will also be still on a projector and screen, a large there for the actual full room to see, and for us to see the full room at once. Again, a staff monitor whom we'll be able to chat with through Zoom. Bi-weekly program, the first session is going to start there on September 14th. And in the breakouts, your facet chairs will talk more about what will be happening. Just as a reminder, the 2 books that you all selected were Harbor Me by Jacqueline Woodson, which we'll use for the fall, and then we'll transition to Finding Your Voice, A Guided Journal of Writing Your Truth by Angie Thomas in the spring, and that syncs up perfectly with the Young Writers program that the Arts was going to roll out as well. So there'll be double ways that we're using that particular book. And then for the African American Book Festival, the date at the moment is February 22nd. Currently, it's still going to center around the Carver Branch Library because it is designed by the Friends of the Carver to help promote that library branch that's in the historical African American area of the community. Some rough dates there. Their organizers did confirm with me that yes, they are interested in having the Links partner with them in making this festival happen. I did express to them that our contribution would be virtual. They're open to that. They're also looking at whether they're going to have any live events or do a combo setting, and will get back to us. So we have positive updates in both of those areas. With that, given our time, unless there are any questions for me at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and get us ready for the breakout sessions. And just so that you all know, you have been assigned already by Link Paula based on the facets that you're in. But while you're there, you can share screens. You can actually send chat messages to myself or any of the other members in the chapter. You can also, again, use the annotate function, or in that case, you could use a whiteboard if you want to try some of the tools that we were just practicing with. Link Paula, is there anything else we need to know?
Yes. First of all, I am so glad to see a great turnout from everybody here, and I am really excited about the information that we got from the two presenters before. I've got pages of notes over here, and I'm waiting to get those resources too, so I can start working through them and seeing what's working there. Before I share just a couple more things for you and then let you know how the breakouts are going to work, I saw Link Lillian had her hand raised. Link Lillian, if you'll unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, that on the February 22nd is a Monday during the school year for the literary thing at the Carver.
I saw too, do we maybe have the wrong date?
That was the date that was given to me, but it's normally on a Saturday, so I'll double check with them. But it's normally on a Saturday at the Carver.
Okay.
This past year it was. So I made a note.
Okay. So for the work inside of your breakouts, you're already set up. I'm getting ready in a few minutes. I'm going to send you automatically into your breakout rooms. When you land, you will be there with your facet numbers. In the breakout rooms, I encourage you to unmute yourselves, turn on your cameras. This is just like a committee meeting, ladies. So just go ahead and do your thing in those breakout rooms. Make sure you assign someone to record your ideas and everything. So there is one point of truth within your facet. So make sure, I would encourage you to do that. You, as Isatu said, you will be able to share your screens inside your breakout room, and you will not be recorded in there. So have your conversations. We've recorded the bigger room and all of those activities that are going on in the main room, but you will not be recorded in your breakout room. If you need help or you have a question, you will have somewhere in your tool line there a button that says ask for help. And you can push that, and I think you'll be able to type in a question. Isatu and I will be on the outside, and we'll be able to answer any questions. And if need be, I will be sending Isatu in and out of different facet meetings, so she can jump in and out, ask your questions, answer your questions, be there, and then she can move on. So I'll be whipping her around quite a bit there. The other thing I wanted to let you all know is that the San Antonio chapter now has its own Zoom subscription. So as the presenters were talking about setting up the settings and things like that within there, we'll be able to manage that inside of it. We actually have 3 seats, 3 people seats signed in there, and we're now working on what those what are the guidelines around using that. It won't only be for chapter meetings or for programming, for your committee meetings, for whatever you want to. Now we have a subscription, so you won't have any timing issues around it or anything like that. And there will be at least 3 people who can help you to manage those. So we're working on some guidelines around that, but I wanted to let you know this is the first rollout for this for you all. Actually, we did our special meeting on our subscription as well. So we now have our own set of tools for this. So before I send you on your way, your breakout sessions are timed for about 60 minutes, 60 minutes, and then they will automatically close. You will have the option to come back into the main room if you want to, or you finish up early or whatever, but they will automatically close at the end of an hour. And you'll get about a 60-second notification. You'll see a little pop-up that'll come in your room. Also, if there's information that we want to share within all the rooms, we'll be able to type that in. So from time to time, you may see something else come up on your screen, a little note from the outside. Are there any questions?
I think, Paula, I'll just mention the facet chairs all have the facet breakout report Ladies, please do complete it. I'll ask you to report back when we do come back with that last 10, 15 minutes. So it's each facet to come back and report on what you've decided to do and on what days and what have you.
Okay. All right. If there are no other questions.
Lynn, Paula, I had a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
This is Trisha.
Yes, sure.
Will we have a Google Classroom? Is it an option for the kids to be able to turn in, you know, whatever it is that we want them to turn in?
I saw two.
I am going to research it. I think we have the dollars if we had to pay for some type of subscription. I'll just need to talk with someone who has set it up and used it before. So if there are any other links who have, that'd be great.
Let me share with you that the school systems are now doing away with Google Docs. They're using Schoology and Canvas. So we might want to keep it aligned with what they're using every day in school. I mean, just a thought.
Can you repeat the name of that?
Schoology and Canvas. SISD is using Canvas. Northeast ISD is using Schoology.
Right, NISD is using Schoology as well.
Okay.
If anyone has details,
yeah, they're going away from Google Classroom.
Using Google Docs anymore.
Thank you.
anyone has details on the costs or how we could look into making that available, please send them over to me. That'd be great.
And if we decide on Canvas, for sure, I will volunteer or voluntold Aerolink Alexandra, because they use Canvas as part of graduate school. So she's very familiar with how to get around it and everything. Of course, we'll need to research and find out what is going to be the most efficient and effective tool for us. But if that is the one, then she'll be thrilled to help us out.
That's good.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, Link Sisters, we'll see you shortly. And I am opening the rooms now. And Tina, let me move you. I saw two. Where do you want to go first? I can't hear you.
Let's go to ITS, since it looks like she had some other questions.
Okay. All righty.
And the gist of it, if you haven't read the book, is it's 6 kids who get placed in an ARTT room, which is a room to talk, and they share their life stories, and it brings up topics of immigration, bullying, being white, being, just looking different, a parent in prison, a parent who died. There's a lot of stuff that the kids shared with each other and told their stories. And so the chapters that we were assigned were chapters 21 to 30. And because all the stories kind of intertwine, it's not like any of those chapters focused in particular on one character. And so just chapter 21, it talks about well, I'm going to call the names of the kiddos, but Ashton being bullied. Yes, hey, Asatu.
Hi, ladies. I just wanted to say Link Paula's sent me over to you guys first. If there are any questions immediately that I can answer logistics-wise, we can do that. I can't answer questions about the book. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I can do logistics stuff.
No, but I have something to say. Link Asatu, thank you for finding those two women to enlighten us on possibilities of what we can do programming online. I never would have thunk about any of those things. She even taught me how to use my computer better. It's like, oh my God, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other level this year with that presentation.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. That was my thought. It was most of us are not in education. There are a handful of us, or maybe a few more, but most of us are not. We're not doing this. Let's talk to some people who have done it and who make a living doing this to figure out how they've made it work and, you know, what are they not going to do again. So I'm glad it's useful. I learned a lot too, just meeting with them and talking through it. So thank you. Link Trish, I didn't want to stop you.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
I'll be here for a few minutes, but you can always, of course, send me something in chat if I'm
thank you
somewhere else.
So the chapters that we have was the chapter 21 to 30, and starting from chapter 21, it's talking about Ashton being bullied. But then in chapter 22, it jumps to Esteban. Now, Esteban's story, the story is told by Haley, but Esteban's story is that his dad was taken away by ICE, and so and is in a detention center. And so chapters 23 and 20 to 27 kind of go in between a lot of the kids' stories. I couldn't quite grasp which one of those we could hold on to. Chapter 28 I thought was a good focus for our session, and it's on Tiago. Tiago is family is from Puerto Rico, and so his
Yes, Link Roz, you'll unmute yourself.
Yes, no questions. I just wanted to say this has been an outstanding session. You and Link Asatu have just did an awesome job. So I just wanted personally to say thank you. And looking forward to this year and having a cross-functional team where we're all working together, as you said, Link.
Great. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. None of us does this alone. None of us does this alone.
And one other thing too, by the way, you know, we have some great national webinars and Western. You can get your hours with those too, so take advantage.
All right. Is there anything else? I'm not seeing any. Let's see. Let me check the chat here. Let's see. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat or anything like that. So ladies, we are over a little bit. I appreciate your patience. Link Asatu and I will be here for a while longer. So if you have some additional questions, please just chime in. Let us hear from you. I'm sure she'll be back with you with additional direction, what the next plans are for the program planning committee and everything. So without further ado, you guys can go and have your very hot Saturday and be safe out there. And we will see you all soon.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.